goodies to share. Come on. So there was this hashtag on Twitter regarding... Wow, that's expensive. Let's see, what can I drop? These fucking cigars. I don't even know if I'll be able to sell the cigars, to be honest, guys. This is a lot of plant fibers. I don't really want to drop it. 2012 versus 2018. I don't like posting pictures of myself. I never have. I didn't participate in the hashtag. It was interesting. People had various pictures of things from those 2 years. You know, 2012 for me was a significant year. If you don't know me that well, if you haven't been around Twitch even since 2012, that was the first year I streamed on this account in September. It was 2012. Twitch was a much different place, of course. Just consider this. What was the top viewed game on Twitch? And how many viewers were actually watching the top viewed game at the time? I know that it was DayZ. DayZ Mod was the #1 viewed game that year. Along with, I don't know, when did League of Legends? League of Legends has been around forever. Minecraft was big back then. Still communities with all those games. Not so much DayZ, though. It's interesting, right? But, you know, I had... Oh, I think my game crashed. I didn't clear my memes. Alright, let's, I'm going to restart my game in just a second. We'll take a little break. So... in 2012, I quit my job that I had for a decade. It's a very big decision for me. I quit when I realized that I wasn't going anywhere in my position, and it was going to take me a long time. It's going to take me a long time to get to where I wanted to be. I was a retail manager in a grocery store. I applied for a position that opened up in the warehouse as quality control for produce. I really, really wanted that position. However, my boss also applied. And, of course, he got it. He had 10 more years of experience than I did. And I thought to myself, I might have to do this for another 10 years before I get anywhere in this company. And I'm going to be 40 years old when I actually get to the fucking place I want to get to. And it wasn't that I was completely unhappy with the job itself. It was just that I was like, oh my God, I can't get this time back. So I decided to, I realized that, man, time is a valuable asset. I decided to move to Colorado. You know, I called my sister, who I'm close with, and she helped me out. She let me know my uncle was telling her that if she wanted to stay in his house, she could stay there for free, because she was thinking about going back to school. And it just so happened that, you know, she remembered that and she told me about it. I was like, oh my God, well, that would be a huge help if I was able to at least have like a couple months of free rent somewhere, so I can get my, you know, get back on my feet after moving and, you know, get a job and stuff. This chair does not like to roll on this carpet. So it was like, oh my God. So I called my uncle, and he was in the middle of harvesting. My uncle, he's a semi-retired professor of agriculture economics, and he does a lot of work with farmers and bankers, kind of like counseling people who go through bankruptcy and that sort of thing. But anyways, I call him up. He also co-owned a business with my father. My father who passed in 2016. They owned a business together, harvesting. And so in the spring, like this was like in May, they were already like harvesting. I call them up and I said, hey, you know, I had heard that you told my sister that she could stay in your house. Is that true? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, would it be, why did I just use a splint? I didn't mean to do that. Would it be okay if I stayed in the house? You know, I'm thinking about moving. He was like, all right, sounds good. Come on down. You know, he just like wanted to get me off the phone because he was busy. So that was it, man. It was decided. And, you know, my life was going to change. That's where I was in 2012. I moved down here, and it was a totally different world. For one thing, the first week that I lived here, I'll never forget it because it was about 100 degrees. I still live in the same house, by the way. The rent's too good. It's too cheap. I couldn't find. I've been looking for another place. I just can't find another place with comparable space, and for the size, you just can't. It just doesn't exist. Anyways, 100 degrees. I have no air conditioning. I've never had air conditioning. I did not know this. My uncle still had some of his there's still some of his stuff in this house. You just can't get rid of it all. He rented this house for a long time. Guess what? He rented this house for like almost 20 years since he got divorced. He had been renting this house. Okay. So there was an ironing board in the house still. It was leaning up against this wall. Behind the ironing board was a switch, and when you turn the switch on, it turns on the attic fan, which is an exhaust fan for the entire house, and it vents the house. It ventilates the house. It takes all the hot air, and it actually like helps cool the attic down too. So it's a good thing to run it in the summer in the evening. What you do in Colorado, you know, it cools down quite a bit. So you, I gotta do something here. Hold on just a second. But yeah, it gets cooler at night. So what you do is you open the windows. Turn on the attic fan. It cools the house down at night. But during the day, it's fucking hot, man. Very hot. It's very hot. I didn't know how to deal with it, man. That first week was rough. Addition to that, you know, there's the altitude change. If you ever visit a place with high altitude, consider taking it easy for the first couple of days. Depending on how you got to get acclimated before you can do things like exercise, drink alcohol, you know, stuff like that. You got to be careful. So I didn't really heed those warnings, and I got altitude sickness. But I was happy, you know. I was happy where I was. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I made such a bold choice. It was probably the boldest choice I ever made. So I was very like conservative with how I did. I was worried about, you know, I at least got established in my job eventually to where I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. But I quit my fucking job. I lost all my benefits. I was paying out of pocket now to live. Luckily, I had free rent for a few months. It really helped. But it took me a while just to get acclimated to being in it's a bit more of a high-stress environment here until you get used to it. Like there's there's a lot more people around on the roads. The town I'm living in is a similar size to what I came from, kinda, but it feels like it's about 5 times as many people. I know that's not true, but it feels like it, right? It feels like there's that many more people. But you know, in regards to like Twitch, I was actually on a hiatus from streaming when I moved. I had a group of friends I was playing games with, you know, APB Reloaded. Also, but there was some incidents that happened in that game, and I was pretty sure that I was quitting forever. I was like, goodbye forever, APB. I'm done with you. Fuck off. I don't ever want to play this game again. The community is terrible. Screw it, you know. I'm out of here. Hasta la vista. All that shit. And then through Twitch, there was this new thing that came out in like June. Or late June. I think it was late June, early July is when I discovered it. You know, DayZ mod was huge. Everyone was raving about how crazy it was, you know? Like, what the hell is that? You know, and it just so happened that I'd purchased Arma 2 on a whim because it was on sale. This was without the expansion, Operation Arrowhead. You know, combined operations, you buy the two together. I just had Arma 2 without the expansion. And, yeah, started playing it. How did we even... Ooh. Oh, how the fuck did we... Well, the woman I was playing with at the time, she knew... She had discovered the streamer. His name is QMG Saint. And started playing games with him, and he was starting a community called Man Mode Gaming, M2 Gaming, and basically is going to be running community servers and doing little events with people, and he just had a really friendly atmosphere in his stream, and he was entertaining. He was good at games. He was passionate. He still streams from time to time. I'm not sure exactly what. Let me just continue the story. So, you know, War Z was around around the same time too, you know, that year, but more so like this. I'm talking about more like, let's say, July. Like, the things move very fast in 2012, and you know, August of that year I think was when he was starting that community, and it was great. You know, there was a lot of cool people around to play. It was great. There was like always a group of players to hang with and you know, play games. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And I actually you know, the whole story behind my Twitch name is I was watching Twitch, but I never really chatted. And eventually I wanted to chat, so I needed to make a name. You know, I had gotten a job that summer working for Nestle, which isn't just like oh, that's a really good find. It isn't exactly what you think. It's not just what you think. It's actually there's a lot of different products, but this is Nestle DSD, which was direct store distribution, mostly like ice cream and pizza. So I was a retail store merchandiser, and what I would do is I would go to stores. I shouldn't do that. Okay. I would go to stores and stock the ice cream and pizza, come home, play video games, and, you know, I wanted to chat on Twitch, so I needed a username. Of course, you know, coming home from work, we'd wear these gloves when we were at work, You can just about picture where the story's going. We would... The Orangesherbet containers always go on the top shelf. They've since changed it. They go on the bottom shelf now. But they go on the top shelf. They would always be like right by the lid. There'd always be this coating of like drip, like frozen orange sherbet syrup around the top lid. What's up, Tipsy Jack? And then you know, I'd be wearing the gloves, and they're like they're the rubber coated gloves, but I would still get it like stuck between my fingers. So when I'm going to like think of a Twitch username so I can chat, lo and behold, the Orangesherbet won, because it's still stuck between my fingers, and it was like bright orange, so I could see it. I'm like, what is that? You know, like the webbing between your fingers, and you go like this, and you're like, God, it's so annoying when you have something like sticky. Which doesn't happen very often anymore, but you know, it's odd, right? It's an odd sensation. So that's the story behind my username, and you know, just a footnote on 2012. There was also some drama that happened, you know, in between myself and the streamer I mentioned before. He didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't something that he did wrong. It was more just this very complicated scenario that maybe I'll tell one day. If you were around back then, you know. But unfortunately, I'm not friends with QMG Saint anymore. I still think he's a decent guy. But that's the story behind why I like came back to streaming on Twitch. I used to stream APB Reloaded. But like I said, I quit that game. F that. Started a new Twitch account 2012 September. And I guess here I am now. 2012 versus 2018. 2018 is still, there's still a lot left, man. We've still got about 8 months to go, right? No, 9 months to go. So, what the hell's gonna happen? Things are a lot different. Things are a lot different, man. Everyone's in everyone else's business, right? I try to mind my own business. I hope to work on my overall wellness, you know? My mental well-being and my physical well-being as well, you know? I got myself into pretty good shape in 2012 and 2013. I want to get back to that, you know? I want to get back to the good days. And, I don't know. Rather than post a picture of myself between those 2 years, I figured I'd rather kind of tell the story of that year, which was probably the biggest change in my life to date, man. Since I've been an adult, that's probably the biggest year of my life. 2012, it turns out. So there you go.